So, welcome back to my next episode of Dating Tips for Single Women. My name is Antia Boyd, founder of FindOneElite.com. And today I have a special guest here with me today, Susan Ball. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Antia, how are ya?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I am doing great. I'm just not in California like you, so I'm a little jealous.
I know. So tell the listeners where you're calling in from.
Nova Scotia, Canada, and we are waiting for a blizzard.
Wow. Okay, so you know where not to go right now.
No, don't come here.
Oh, okay, from Canada. Well, let me tell the listener a little bit more who you are, Susan. So Susan Ball is the founder and CEO of Broken to Blissful. Yes. She's an author and sought after international speaker, sharing her message of building joy on the journey from victim to survivor to thriver. Oh, yeah, that's right, baby. She brings her experience, her insights, and proven strategies to her work, much to her clients' delight. In a nutshell, Susan helps women heal, whether a woman is in need of support following a divorce, or toxic relationship, or recovering from an abusive relationship. Susan welcomes everyone and works with them using the tools and concepts from her groundbreaking book, Courage and Grace, From Broken to Blissful, the journey of building joy during your recovery from abuse. Susan is also a regular contributor to Life Grid, The Huffington Post, and Thrive magazines. She lives joyfully ensconced with her soulmate off the grid, snug at tiny recce house on Canada's Atlantic coast. Isn't that the cutest intro ever? So cute. Welcome, Susan. Yay!
Yeah, I'm just so happy to be here. I love the vibe. It's great. So happy to have met you.
Absolutely, Susan. I'm so excited. So tell us, always the listeners are always curious to hear what got you into this, right? Like what makes you such an expert, and why do you have such a heart and soul and passion for this work?
I experienced a violent, abusive relationship. I was almost killed. And where I come from in Canada, the police have to lay the charges. The victim doesn't have a choice. And then they put you in the system, as I like to call it, which is great. There's resources, there's help. But what I found was there was a huge disconnect between leaving your abusive spouse and actually creating a life you love. They kept you in this kind of victim mode. You're a victim, you're a victim. Everywhere you went was victim services, victim counseling, victim this, victim that. Mm-hmm. And when you sat in group counseling, it was almost like we were comparing stories, oh, mine was worse than yours. And through that experience, I started to abuse alcohol and drugs and date bad boys because I was a victim and got into all kinds of mischief. Yeah. And I met a wonderful lady who actually wrote the foreword to my book. And she asked me, I hadn't seen her for a long time. She was a friend. And am I allowed to use bad language?
Sure, go ahead.
And she asked me, we hadn't seen each other in 10, 15 years. And she said, what's new? So I gave her my story, my victim story. And she looked at me and she said, Susan, that's a fucking boring story. Mm-hmm. And I went, excuse me? That's my story. That's who I am. I'm the victim.
I embellished it so well. I reversed it. I tried every day. So don't tell me.
Don't tell me that I'm partying and wasting my life and all of this stuff. It's my story.
Yeah.
But she was the one who, even though I was angry and I thought, what a waste of time and I will never speak to her again. And about 3 days after that, I called her up and I said, any chance we can sit down and have a coffee? Mm-hmm. And we did. We sat and she said, it's time for you to move on. It's time for you to let go. It's time for you to be grateful that you're out of that relationship. It's time for you to create some happiness in your life. That's your role now.
Mm-hmm.
not anyone else's. That's your role now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that started the process of change. But that element of the healing process for women who are coming out of those relationships, those very negative, heavy duty relationships, they're not there. They get into this victim system and they're virtually stuck there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what I see so often, Susan, why I'm so excited to talk to you is, it's really a journey because when women are victims, and, some we have like parts of us, like every single one does, that who wants attention, right? And I see like that being victim, right? Like just you get so much attention and you get so much
Oh, I loved it.
sympathy, right? Isn't it great?
But
So
it's not happy attention.
absolutely, and it's also, it really gets you out of the responsibility. It's like there's no hope. As a victim, you have no hope because you're at the mercy of, well, everything outside of yourself. There's nothing you can do about, right? So, what would you say are some of the three blind spots that you see from the women that come to you that they're just not aware of? Like, where are they at, and where are they with their awareness level around their victimhood and their level of commitment to wanting to change versus to be like, well, I like to talk to you about this forever because I get your attention.
Their awareness, okay, when women come to me, they're in a place of, this really sucks and I'm not going anywhere and I'm just pedaling in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really not knowing how to move out of it. And the problem is, what they're asking is all of these why questions. Why did he treat me this way? Why did this happen to me? Why can't I move forward? Why do I feel sad still? All of these things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with why questions, there's no answer. They're all the answers are excuses. So why did he treat me that way? Well, maybe you could make an excuse. He was in a bad mood. He had a crappy day at work. His mom yelled at him. Whatever you want, that's an excuse. So the why questions keep them in the relationship. They keep them going in this pattern of continual analysis.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I work with them to break away from the why and change it to what, how, and when, so that they're looking at what can I do to change my life, how am I going to do it, and when am I going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so true, right? Because the questions we ask ourselves is directly proportional to the results we create. So if you just say, why did this happen? Oh, you get answers all day long, right?
Oh, all kinds of them.
You get an answer, right? So that's so smart to be like, what can I change right now, and how can I move forward, right? So, and what else would you say for those single women who have also come from a lack of trust, right? Because that trust has been abused. So how do you help them around that to build that up again?
That comes from confidence in yourself and knowing your boundaries. I was cheated on and all of that kind of stuff, so I didn't trust anyone until I healed. See, we attract what we reflect, and I'm sure you're very familiar with that. And one of the things that women don't realize is that when you keep attracting bad relationships, there's one common denominator, and that's you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things we work on, is getting them to acknowledge that this pattern, this continual pattern, is because something inside of them, a boundary, a child wound, something is not healed, something needs to change within themselves.
Yeah.
That's the journey that needs to happen. And once you start to heal that, and you start to trust yourself, and you start to trust your gut voice and your boundaries and your responsibility and your own happiness, the trust comes forward, because you're not looking at somebody else to provide anything. All your needs and wants, you take care of yourself. Finding a relationship, a partner in your life, that's an added bonus. Everything else you can do for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And so when you met your partner, so tell us more about how you met your partner. Like, where were you in, because we talked so much about like for women to actually visualize what they do want, right? So where were you in your life and what was the circumstance and how did you guys meet?
Oh, that my current partner?
Yeah.
Oh, that at my yard sale.
Okay.
Well, it was actually my daughter's yard sale. I had two little girls, young girls, and we had finally moved into a half decent house after all of the turmoil, little apartment house, and they were having like a street sale. And my youngest daughter said, "Mom, I want to sell my Barbies." And I'm sorry, I got a hair on my face. It's driving me nuts. There we go. I want to sell my Barbies. So she set up a little stand. And of course, being 8 years old, 9 years old, she got bored very quickly and so on and so forth. So I put out a few things and I was sitting out there watching it because she wanted to go and do something else.
Right.
And along comes this person. And literally, I saw him walking up the street and I wasn't thinking long-term relationship. I was actually thinking, gee, that would be nice for an evening as long as he didn't tell me his name. That was...
I love it. That was so good.
Truly.
Okay, so you thought it was good. And then what happened?
The next thing I know, he's on the other side of the street and he turns around and he said, "Did you talk to me? Are you talking to me?" And I went, "No." And then he just kept wandering over. Was going to fix my lamp that I was trying to sell and all of that kind of stuff. Before you knew it, he told me his name and that ruined the whole fantasy. So now it was down to a new level. And and we went out a few times and it just clicked. But I was very honest with him about where my healing journey was from that abusive relationship and that I was not going to be easy to handle. That I was not there yet. I was good, but there was going to be things that maybe I wouldn't handle as well as he would expect somebody else to handle them.
And I love that you touched on that, Susan, because what I hear so often from from the women that I work with that come to me, or just in general questions on Facebook, right? It's like, we talk so much about vulnerability and authenticity. And, what's the right time frame? I mean, when did you start opening up to him and tell him this?
Pretty much right away. When it started to get kind of a little more serious and stuff like that, it was, okay, you need to hear this story. You need to know the truth. You need to know where I come from. You need to know where my two girls come from.
Yeah.
Because they're a part of my life and they've seen this. And that, I'm healing. I'm healing. And what was great about it was I was in such a good place that if he decided he didn't want to be part of that journey, I was okay with that. I was okay. I understood that I was going to meet people who were going to say, "Ugh, I don't want." Then I knew that they were not authentically for me. Because at that moment, I needed somebody to be vulnerable with me,
right,
to be happy with me, and to call me out on my bullshit if I was getting too much back in that victim mentality.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I appreciate where you come from, and there's another more empowering way to see the situation right now, right?
Yes.
Right. And so how did he take it? Like, women are always afraid to, like, how does he take it? And
he actually, he was really good about it. He said, "I'm so glad you told me. I completely understand. You're going to have to help me help you." And that's how he took it.
Great. That is so amazing, right? Because that really busts that kind of myth that women have to, like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody, or I don't want to be too complicated, right? We're like, no, actually, men want to know. They want to know as specifically as possible because they want to make you happy. So that's what I really hear you say.
Yeah, and that was his whole goal. And yes, there was times when he was very uncomfortable with it. There was times when he didn't know how to do it. How to fix it. He wanted to fix it. That was, I think, the worst thing is that men are sort of fixers. They want to fix the problem.
Yeah.
I was broken and he wanted to fix it, really quickly, but there was no way to do that.
Yeah. And so I think that's such beautiful work that you do. And I think that's part of the work that we women have on this planet, to teach men that it's okay for them to not fix it, that they're okay, that's still worthy, because they don't feel worthy anymore if they can't fix it, because their whole identity is based on that, right? To be like, well, wait, if I don't fix it, then what am I good for?
Yes, and you know, because we've gone through this journey together, we now have a relationship where I will say to him if I want to talk about something, because I don't talk about the incident anymore. It's done in my past, the abusive part. But if I want to vent, I will say to him, I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff. I do not need you to fix it. I don't need a solution. I just want to.
Yeah. just lay it out. I just want to hold it to trash can, you know?
And he'll go, okay. And you can see his face. He wants to say how to fix it. And it's like, no.
Yeah, totally, right? Tony Robbins was telling a story once too, and he's like, you know how this made you feel? Okay, I need to watch a movie now. I need to see how somebody is getting killed, you know? And she's like, no, it's like, just have a little patience and compassion for me. Okay, I'm a man, and I got to just shut down my brain right now. And so to just understand, you know, that man will just keep going with like how they could have fixed it and that they can't fix it, and that to just be like, okay, just leave him, let him do whatever he needs to do to feel masculine again after that, right? After holding that container. So
that's right. Yeah.
Right? That's such a great example. I just like, have a little compassion. I'll never forget that when you said that. But that's like so powerful. So what would you say is like one of the biggest takeaways? Like if a woman would say, gosh, you know, I can do everything, but you know, if you can just give like one nugget that really shifted your paradigm when it comes to moving out of that abusive paradigm and that mindset into a more empowering mindset.
There are two, if you don't mind. There are two. Gratitude. And I know that everybody talks about gratitude, but the one that I want everyone to write in their gratitude journal is they are grateful to no longer be living with that person. They are free. They're grateful to be free. Just be grateful for that for a while. Forget about all the other stuff that's going on. Just be grateful for that. You are free from that situation.
Yeah.
And then the second part is starting a success journal. Because one of the things that it happens to women coming out of that, some of them have got kids, is overwhelm, huge overwhelm.
Yeah.
They've got to get jobs, they've got to get money, they've got all these things they want to do. So they look at the big chunks of things they have to do, and they didn't get it done, and it's not happening, and they feel failure, and they start to get depressed. I want them to look at the little things, the little steps they take every day towards that goal, and celebrate in their journal. Today I did. ... These are my successes.
Yeah. And really shift their focus. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. That's what it helps you to do, is shift that focus away from, you know, everything that didn't work in your life or what you couldn't accomplish, right?
That's right. And then you start to feel good about yourself because you've got this long list of things. And if you're really going through an emotionally bad time and you get out of bed that day and make your children breakfast, celebrate that. That's a success.
Yes. Yeah. Every little thing. I mean, just, okay, you were in a good mood today with your kids versus yesterday you were not in a good mood, or you were just a little bit more patient, or just like every little thing, right?
Every little thing.
You become like the researcher or the hunter for like successes, right? Like the detective.
Start a success journal.
Yeah, totally. Well, Susan, I love what you had to share, and I'm sure the listener is like so excited and eager to hear more about your stories and what other tips you have. And if they just want to get more engaged with you and with your work and possibly even start working with you, you know, what's the best way to get engaged with you or to connect with you?
The easiest way to find me is on my website, which is www.susanball.ca. CA for Canada, so remember that part.
Okay.
Because everybody goes to .com.
Not .com.
No, it's .ca. And on there, I have a free VIP session for 90 minutes where we just talk about these things and the reason I offer that is women coming out of these situations really sometimes just need somebody to be supportive in that time and say, yep, you're doing great. It's great. What you're doing is great. But here's a few tips to help you move forward. So that's the best way to find me and get in touch with me.
Fabulous. So say that again. So it's www.susanball.ca,
Yeah.
right? .ca.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. Like Canada, and get those 90 minutes of valuable time. It's so generous of you, Susan. I mean, just I'm sure it's a lot of listeners are going to take you up on that. So get ready, So thank you for being on the podcast, Susan, and sharing your wisdom and your enlightening spirit and just, your joy and your hope. Like you're just really exuding that, just like the words that you're saying, but I can feel the energy that you're sending to those listeners, that just really feel like, gosh, if I can get to that level of hope after the abuse that I've gone through, anything is possible.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me, Antia. It was a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies, and for those of you who struggle with attracting emotionally unavailable men or, just really not trusting yourself to the level that you could and really attracting those, just absolutely just what I call them avoidant attachment styles, and go to my website, findtheoneelite.com, and schedule your complimentary Find the Right Man discovery call with me, where we go deeper and really look at what's at the bottom, what's at the root of all of what's going on. And again, thank you so much, Susan, for being on the show and for providing this very specific support. This is a very specific challenge that women have in life coming out of abusive relationship. So thank you so much for giving them hope and know that there's someone out there who can really hold that space for them and who's been there, right? And who's worked herself out of it.
Yep. Thank you again.
Awesome. All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.